Hello everyone, Morning away from Bakirgan as always under as usual. You can see what time it is as always under as usual. I shall briefly be reviewing Raphael's Ancient Grimoire, also known as Raphael's Ancient Manuscript of Talismanic Magic. Now, the Raphael in it is allegedly attributed to the Archangel Raphael, as far as I can tell, see, and or to my knowledge overall. You look up information about this grimoire online, you will just find that mainstream information or better said, general information. There is not a lot to say. Um, the description speaks for itself. If you just briefly, if for example you go on Google, give me a second. The manuscript contains detailed instructions on how to create talismans, amulets, and other magical objects that can be used for protection, healing, and so on and so forth. So yeah, in a nutshell, that's what the book is about. Rabbi Solomon, etc., etc., discusses the default things discussed in a magical workbook or grimoire in the classical grimoire magic style or fashion. Perfumes to be used, magic circle, orations, and so on and so forth. These are notable examples. Now, what interested me the most were the talisman mentioned in it. Um, I need to say that this book reminds me a lot of the Greater Key of Solomon Order of the Pentacles to the point where it seems almost like a couple of the talismans they bear such a strong striking resemblance to I mean a couple of the talismans bear such a strong striking resemblance to the pentacles of the Greater Key of Solomon Order of the Pentacles to the point where they might be one and the same, albeit from a different perspective, not literally, but at the very least in functionability and functionality. It does make sense overall, not literally the same, mind you. I repeat, not literally the same. It's essentially more seeing, for example, two coins or banknotes that look a lot alike and that serve a similar function to the point where it's almost like 80% identical here and there and so on and so forth, but still different enough to the point where if you don't pay close attention or you're not familiar with both grimoires, then then you're not going to notice anything. Now, anyways, um, what I can tell you in terms of my research, everything I sense from the back, it makes sense since it's attributed to Raphael. Only for the sake of comparison, and that is a figurative comparison. I repeat, only figuratively speaking, if you were to compare the two aforementioned grimoires to each other, the Greater Key of Solomon, the Order of the Pentacles, is more heavy-handed in the sense that these pentacles are more, they bear more weight. Let's just put it that way. Okay, they're just literally and figuratively heavy-handed, energetically speaking. And Raphael's ancient grimoires, the talismans, are more swift in nature. They're more swift, more agile. They're lighter in nature in terms of not in a bad way, of course. They're lighter in terms of the comparison. The benefit is that I sensed immediately as well as that they would work a lot quicker. Not a lot quicker, but noticeably quicker. So let's just say on a scale of 0 to 10, the JKOS, the Greater Key of Solomon, Order of the Pentacles, is like a 9 overall. And Raphael's Ancient Manuscript of Talismanic Magic is like a 7. Um, like comparing, what example am I supposed to give? A uh, a bulldog and a fox. You know, the fox is going to be quicker, obviously, generally speaking. Not to take anything away from the fox. See my point? If you had to make a comparison, the bulldog is stronger, obviously, but also hypothetically speaking, slower, and it just goes on. This is the best thing that I can give in the way of an example. Um, Now, speaking of examples, I'm going to give one example, a pentacle that I thingied. Um, a pentacle that I checked out. By the way, you can find a copy of this book linked in the description of this video that you can download. Now, it is on page 58 to be precise. If you open up the grimoire in terms of the talisman that I took as an example, it is a mercurial talisman, essentially the third one. The fourth, if you include the top main pentacle, but that's a pentacle. If we're talking strictly talismans, then it's the third one. In any case, it has the description to be successful in a game of hazard. So that pretty much speaks for itself. It essentially is a loose reference or just plain reference to gambling or anything that can be considered gambling. Game of hazard simply stands for the fact that, hey, the hazard in itself is you losing whatever it is that you lose. And you'll see what it looks like. There are four names around it: Hemodial, Savannah, if I'm not mistaken, Gladonia, and sorry, it's hard to read. Cocarial, I think, or Cocanial. In any case, names of spirits. And then in the middle, it's essentially two circles, typical in the Solomonic style. And the symbol itself and whatnot is in the middle, the inner circle, as opposed to the names being in the outer circle. Now, I took a look at this just for the purposes of giving an example in this video as a review. Um, and I simply wanted to see its properties. I looked in detail into all of it, as well as general usage, what it would bring about. And like I already said, I noticed that um, it cannot be used. Let it immediately be noted, it cannot be used for heavy-hand adventures. So, no winning the lottery, no winning 100 grand of any major international currency, whether it be dollars, euros, pounds, or whatever, francs, whatever. None of that. You want to, for example, maximize your chances of success if you were to utilize this talisman. Think scratch tickets, think anything of the likes. Something that will get you like, I don't know, 500 bucks, 1,000 bucks. That is something that would make it so that you would get a good deal of success from it, potentially, mind you. So using this pinnacle, obviously, just like as is the case by default, doesn't literally guarantee success. God is the only one that can give you a literal guarantee, as is the case by default, period. Um, it simply maximizes your chances of success. Exactly the way I described. And for the rest, there is not really a lot to say. This pentacle, as an example, once again, energetically simply utilizes maximum occult power and energy. Um, both just overall spiritual power as well as raw energetic power, and the focus of all that energy as an end goal is to attain material goods or anything that can be won in the aforementioned game of hazard. And yeah, no, that's pretty much it. For the rest, I don't really have anything else to say. It speaks for itself, straightforward. Oh yeah, before I go, you do need to note that this grimoire is handwritten, so you will have difficulty reading it as the PDF. So in order to be able to read it properly, you need to like zoom in. Otherwise, if you just like select a default setting on whatever PDF reader you're thingying on your device, you use by default on your device, and you just read it like that. It's like a doctor's hand note, doctor's handwriting, completely written by hand, allegedly. In any case, hypothetically speaking, or literally handwriting. So no default text, computerized text. So you have to zoom in to be able to read it properly. I had to do so. Um, and then you can read it for yourself, and you'll see. Just classical grimoire magic. Um, and again, the example that I gave of the pinnacle, I mean of the talisman, across the board, you can bet your bottom dollar that all of them work the same. I can immediately sense that without even trying. That the general modus operandi, everything I have said in this video in terms of configuration and mechanics regarding this grimoire is is it works like that across the board. Works the exact same as the talisman I gave. And again, I need to lay emphasis on the fact that it makes sense if it's attributed to Lord Raphael. He rules the sun rules air, so you can see the air correlation. Air is not heavy, obviously, literally and figuratively, so you need to know exactly how to apply it for maximum success. If someone had a question along the lines of me, I mean, towards me, as in, okay, so how can I best utilize this? Essentially, you just need to keep everything I said in mind, not focus on heavy-handed workings or stuff like that, hypothetically speaking, becoming a millionaire or something like that. No, you need to essentially this grimoire is if you want to start at the bottom, if you've never worked with pentacles, for example, before, you're not used to the heavy dosages of energy, or if you're a novice or you're a practitioner with a moderate amount of experience, or you simply prefer things of a light nature and you're not, I mean, you don't really want to deal with the drawbacks of dealing with heavy-handed amounts of energy. You simply are looking for talismanic or pentacle-based compromise, then yeah, definitely you can utilize this book. Bye bye.